Good day. My name is Dolan from Dolan's Tech Journey, and today I thought I might apply something that I've learned in a data science class that I was taking with this super data science. And in this particular class, we used TensorFlow to classify images of dogs and cats. And although working with dogs and cats is very interesting or fun, uh, it doesn't really have an application for what I do. I spend a lot of time in GIS and remote sensing, and so I wanted to work with map data and see if I couldn't classify something related to geography. So, in my project for the class for super data science, we had it's a classic example using TensorFlow and Keras to process dogs and cats photos. This would be like some of the cats photos that they had to see if you can identify on an image whether the object is a cat or a dog. It's a classic example in a lot of the data science courses. And so, what we did in the class, just a background, is like, of course, we imported pandas and TensorFlow and Keras, mainly the image data generator. We scaled the images, and then we built a convolution neural network to process the images and to do some machine learning. And so we had some layers and depth to process these. And then I think we had, wait, I guess it's actually running now. I forgot. But, and it ran through, and then you identify the image, whether it was a cat or dog, which is, again, nice. What I wanted to do was something a little bit different. I wanted to focus on the new city of New Cairo. Now, if you're familiar with what's happening in Egypt, they're building a new capital outside of Cairo to the west, kind of New Cairo, and this is some of the construction they have. This is my ArcGIS Pro project. So this is new construction, a new city, and then if you wanted to even see the new presidential palace, it's down here. I believe this is it. This would be the new presidential palace. So if you pan around the city on a satellite image, you will notice these things right here, which I've made a feature class of. These look like palm trees, but they're really not palm trees. They're cell phone towers. So what I wanted to know, if could I build something that could detect whether this was a palm tree or whether it was a cell phone tower. And so I wanted to like label these labels or cell phone towers. And so I went through the image and created a feature class to label these cell phone towers and try to compare them against palm trees, except the palm trees in the city are kind of much smaller, so it wasn't a fair comparison because again, this is another one. This is looks like a cell phone tower that's not decorated like a palm tree, but most of these are palm tree looking cell phone towers. So here's one too. So probably two cell phone towers right there with the wall around it, and then probably if you look in the shadows, you can often see panels or something like that. And so what I did using ArcGIS Pro, I made a series of image chips. So wait, these would be the cell phone towers. And so if you take a look at these chips, so instead of cats, I have cell phone towers. See, throughout the new city, the new construction, you can see these towers. Originally, I wanted to have like a competing group of palm trees to compare against, but like I said, the palm trees in the city are not quite this tall. It wasn't a very good comparison. So instead, I created like random samples in the city that does not have. Wait, no, this is. I'm sorry. This is my testing samples. I created a category called no towers, And so I tried to find images or create image chips that did not have one of those cell phone towers in it. So there shouldn't be any cell phone towers in these images. And so I guess my goal was to see, could it see based on an image chip whether it had a cell phone tower in the chip or it did not have the cell phone tower in the chip. So I exported these things in purple, or where I set up points to chip out. I created a layout to chip each point as a kind of a small JPEG. And then I uploaded all these into Google Drive. Okay. So let's see, Google Drive. So if you're setting up machine learning or with TensorFlow and Keras, it's important to set up your folder structure. So I had a data set folder, then I had a training test set and training set, which is helps set up the labeling for the code, especially in the dog and cat code that I showed you before. You want to set up that folder structure, which helps you label those images, whether it's in the first case, dog or cat, but in this new case, cell phone tower or no cell phone tower. So, and just for your awareness, this is just images of what the new city of Cairo looks like. So in this picture, you might see palm trees. They're not quite as big and imposing as the cell phone towers disguised to look like palm trees. And so, again, it wasn't a good comparison. But these are just pictures of the new Capitol building in Cairo. Okay. So, what happened? So, again, I used the identical code provided by Super Data Science to see if that code could tell the difference between a JPEG with a cell phone tower or a JPEG without a cell phone tower. So again, I set up my dataset folder and it went through and it scaled all my images from ArcGIS Pro, made two different classes, either cell phone tower or no cell phone tower, and the same kind of convolution neural network. Um, so, I mean, the code worked just as well for the images that I exported out of ArcGIS Pro as the images of dogs and cats, which I was happy with. I didn't know I'd have to make some modifications to the images, but I did not. And so I think I set it up for 20 epochs. And so when I ran it against the cell phone towers, uh, this was the accuracy that was described, like started off like 78%, and then it looked like it was improving quite well. And I guess by the 20th epoch, I mean, I don't know if this is true or not. Maybe it's overfitting. I don't know, but it was like 100% accurate, which seems kind of far fetched to me. So I don't know what's going on with that. Anyway, so I compared it to one that I knew that had a cell phone tower on my image. Let's see, cell phone tower 67 JPEG. Let's see what that one looks like. Okay, so cell phone tower 67. Let's see which one was 67. Oh wait, this was no, I'm sorry. This is in my samples folder. This is a list of samples. So 67. Let's see. Is it in here? I beg your pardon. It's So I had a prediction folder. So this was the test image, well, or a validation image to see how my model did. And so this is two cell phone towers, and I think you might see a little bit of some kind of instrumentation on the tower. And so using that image to see if that machine learning model, what it predicted, and it predicted it to be, let's see, a cell. So right here, so it predicted it to be a cell. So I mean, on one image, it seemed like it worked. But what I did from there is I went back into ArcGIS Pro. Let's go to my map. Okay. And so I created some random samples. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I created this bounding box, and then I had ArcGIS Pro create some random sample points throughout the city to see if randomly it could find an image with a cell phone tower on it. So I created a whole list of points, like 100 points in this box of just things all over the place. And then I was able to chip those points as JPEGs from ArcGIS Pro, and this is my list. And so one of these did have like a cell phone tower on it. So randomly it chipped out an image with a cell phone tower, which looks like it has some instrumentation maybe and the fence around it. So it looks like it, based on the random samples, it did hit one actual cell phone. So I wanted to see in this batch of JPEGs, could that model find that cell phone tower? And that might have been the only one that hit. Like this one, you have actual palm trees. These are not cell phone towers. And so going back to um, my machine learning model, so I loaded those. So I loaded all those sample images, and so they're just random samples. Let's see if I can't find that. So it's just random samples of the city, just to see if I could find like a cell phone tower. So that's palm trees. See if that one. Okay, let's see. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Okay, there's that cell phone tower that it hit. Maybe next time, if I was to do this again, I'd use gridded points and just go constantly like left to right and create images instead of using random points. I think if I was to do this again, I'd just use more of a grid search than a random sample. But anyway, so I ran the same bit of code, and so I made it loop through my samples folder to and one image one by one to see what happened, and so see how many that it actually. I didn't have the best of luck. It said it had a total of potential images that could be cell phone towers was 29, which seemed really high, and so it seemed to think sample 93 was or could possibly be a cell phone tower. And so let's see what that would look like. 93. So in 93, it was palm trees. It wasn't cell phone towers, it's just actual palm trees. So I can see why it might pick this image. On some of the others, I didn't understand. It wasn't as successful as I hoped. I don't think it actually found the cell phone tower that was actually on the image. So I think it said review sample 95. So it kind of thought 95 might be a cell phone tower. And this one I just don't quite understand because there's nothing in here. Maybe it's seen some lines here that thought this was some kind of cell phone tower. I don't know, but I don't see a cell phone tower. Maybe whatever this is, maybe it picked up on that. I don't know why it flagged this image, but it did. Let's see if there's any other interesting finds. And so go back up to the top. So so review layouts. Okay, so sample 6. So let's look at sample 6. I can see some palm trees. I don't see any cell phone towers. So um, I'll look at one more and then I think you get the point. It did not work as well as I hoped. I was hoping that it could search through a bunch of generated JPEGs of the city and maybe find an actual cell phone tower. And unfortunately, I don't think it did. So let's review sample 12. Okay, let's see what sample 12 looks like. 12. I'm not sure if I see anything. Maybe I thought this was a cell phone tower or something like that. I don't see any cell phone towers in this image. So once again, I mean, it was a fun exercise to try, but the code clearly didn't do as well as it did with cats and dogs. Cats and dogs was easy. Searching for cell phone towers in the new city of Cairo, very hard. So it was a fun exercise. It just didn't produce the results that I had hoped. Well, that's what I have for today. Thank you.